We are
ODDsmen! Hey guys, Ogre Barbarian here, also known as Brett. With me today we have...
Hey guys, this is Daniel, also known as DP0427.
And we are the ODDsmen. Unfortunately, Doombox is unable to join us today. However, we have some special guests with us today.
Hey guys, this is Hatemael, also known as Hatemael. I'm, unfortunately, Slow Beast wasn't able to join us because he's obese and, can't get out of bed.
Hey guys, sorry I couldn't make it. Fortunately, life got in the way, but I did want to congratulate the ODDsmen on their first year, and it's really amazing accomplishment. Congratulations, guys.
Hey guys, this is Kage, also known as Kage Urufu.
Alright, cool.
And you guys are... We RRR Legends, obviously. So let's go ahead and get rolling right into it, I guess. DP, take it away.
Yeah, just to remind you guys, at the end of the show, for all of you guys who are listening live, if you haven't already joined, we'll have a giveaway at the end of the show, so you can still have a chance to join in the giveaway by becoming a $1 or higher patron on our Patreon page, patreon.com/theoddsmen. And also, since Doom, unfortunately, isn't here with us, Hate will be taking over his parts for the character breakdowns. So the first section that we have up today is going to be the Here Comes a New Challenger.
Here comes a new challenger!
Well, for today, we're going to first talk about Giganta, who is actually a little better than I originally thought she was going to be. I've been using her a lot the past day and a half, and she's a pretty strong character. The legendary order, just to get into the legendary abilities first, her first ability, the Titanic Smash, does true damage, which is pretty awesome, but it also allows her to gain 4 taunts. The Titanic Smash, her first ability, which I would recommend you taking first. I know some people were a little iffy on it, but she's pretty tanky. She can actually take a pretty decent beating. Some of the stronger energy characters will sometimes melt through her a little quicker than you would like, but she's a little tankier than Lobo. She gains 4 taunts with her first legendary, and then being able to do true damage, she actually does pretty good damage. And some of the matches I was doing on the villain blitz, I can usually one-shot Harley Quinn if I have Steppenwolf on the team. So that's pretty awesome.
This is actually power 3, right?
Yeah. Her third ability,
you kept calling it 1, so I just want to make clarity.
It's early, guys. We're not all here.
No, I know it's early. That's why I want to make sure that everything's clear. This is the first power recommended to take. It is ability 3.
Correct. The second ability that I would take would be her 5th ability, I'm the Toughest. That causes her to use her growth spurt, which at the beginning of battle, which gives her the stamina and agilities that she needs to be tanky. Because before I had that ability, I know she would go down a little fast, and I could see where if you'd kind of been testing her out early on and you hadn't had that legendary upgrade, she will die to a double shot from a Power Girl, or at least lose most of her life. But once you have those 2 abilities, which I feel like are the 2 core abilities that you really need, she can actually take a pretty decent beating. Third on the list that I would take would be her growth spurt, which is her second ability. And that's if she's taunting, it increases her buff duration, just to kind of keep those extra buffs. I know some people are worried about Wonder Girl, because right now buffs are a detriment. But honestly, Giganta can survive her pretty well. She doesn't get killed too quick. Now, your energy characters, unfortunately, will usually take a beating if Wonder Girl's there whipping along. But Giganta can one-shot Wonder Girl, too, so keep that in mind. Her fourth I would take is the Giga Stomp, her first ability. That causes her to use her growth spurt if she's below 30% health, which you don't get as much use out of it because you obviously want to keep her as healthy as possible, but when she does drop low, it helps keep her alive. And then last, I would take the Look at Me, which is the also applying 3 agility ups to teammates with below 40% health. Once they're below 40% health, only having a 30% damage reduction to physical damage really doesn't seem that great to me, so that's why I would save that for last.
And I think those agility ups only last 1 turn.
Yeah, I haven't taken that one yet, so I can't confirm that, but that's what I've heard as well. Have you had a chance to play with her at all, DP?
Yeah, personally, I haven't had a chance to play with her yet, mainly because I just got her from the the last PvP week, so I actually haven't even geared her yet. But just looking at her on paper, she looks interesting. I've come across her a couple of times in PvP already. The one thing that I have to say about her is just like, man, she's a really big character. And it gives me a lot of hope.
I love it.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of hope for like those type of ginormous characters in the DC universe, right? So, but the only thing that's kind of, I guess, the fact that she's so big that she has to be kneeling, because otherwise her what's it called? Her health bar would be off
the model
screen.
would be off the screen.
Yeah, it would be too far off the screen, right? So that's kind of something that I wish they would have found a way to like tweak so that she could be standing and still be represented. But I thought that maybe she should be the size of like what's his name, Manhunter Zero, right? Manhunter Zero is pretty much big enough for any character, I think. Like, she's bigger than him, and that's fine, but it's kind of weird that she's always kneeling. So
I don't know. I really love her animation, and the character as a whole. I just said I was just going to gear out, even though I was a little unsure how good she would be. Which I'm actually pretty happy with how she turned out. But she's not one of those must-have characters, but she's above average character, I would say. And I always like extra taunting characters to have more flexibility.
Yeah, I was actually surprised.
Speaking of animation,
yeah.
There was already a change to her animations.
I was just going to say that. So, yeah.
We didn't cover that at all.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So, the one thing that I thought was kind of weird when Kage brought it up actually on Reddit was they changed her "Can You Hear This" to Titanic Smash. And the animation is like her doing a jump, like a giant stomp, and like ripples through the ground and hits the one character.
It's like an elbow drop.
Yeah. But the best description of the previous move was... Kage put it. What? How did you say, Kage?
She just yells at you,
and you die.
That's kind of cool, right? You scream to death.
It kind of reminded me of the Silver Banshee move, right? And that actually is a lot funnier to me than the one that they have now. It's kind of more generic.
But that's probably why it changed, is because it looks like some of the other animations for other characters.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want to get flack for that or something, because they kind of did that with Power Girl and other characters too, right? So, anyways, well, that's like the only thing. It's not like a major thing. It's just I guess an aesthetic thing, I guess, right?
It was literally just an aesthetic thing. The move does the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Ogre, do you think that once you get her geared out, you're going to make a series on Giganta? Call it Death by Snoo Snoo?
That would be hilarious, but I'm not really sure yet. Right now, I've only got her at Gear 4, so I'm still playing around with her in lower PvE stuff. I haven't really tested her a whole lot. She's a lot of fun to play with, though, I will say that. So,
since she was going to be the focus of the next regular We RRR Legends episode, maybe that will be the show title.
Yes. Let's do it.
Anything else you guys want to say about Giganta?
Yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
I think I was pleasantly surprised to see her one-shotting blues. I think that gave her an extra point over Lobo, because I made a comparison with her and Lobo, and I thought Lobo was going to be better. But then you realize her stats are better than Lobo, and she's an extra taunting character. Why not just have her in your arsenal? So I think that's really good.
Yeah, something to point out if anybody doesn't know this, Giganta actually has a striker gear set, meaning that she would follow the same rules as like Robin or Red Hood or any of the other, striker characters. She has those kind of stats from her gear, which means she has higher strength and higher agility base, or from her gear, and then her base stamina is actually insane, and that's what gives her tankiness.
So she has everything.
And then she has a higher crit rate too.
So
yeah, and then she has a higher crit rate and pretty decent crit damage on top of that. Yeah, so she does have some very interesting choices that were made, clearly, for a reason, because they wanted her to hit hard and still be this massive tank.
So let me get this straight. She's got a lot of strength, a lot of agility. She's got a huge HP pool based on her base character stats, and she's got a high crit rate.
Yes.
Yes. There's nothing to not like about her. And she does true damage.
Nerf.
And she has abs. So that's one reason.
She does have abs. Death by Snoo Snoo. All hail Snoo Snoo.
Yes.
All right. Anything you want to say about Giganta? Hey, before we move on?
Nope, I'm covered what I needed to.
All right.
One quick thing. There was a team I tested that Kage wanted me to try out that had Hippolyta or Hippolyta, however people want to pronounce it, as lead, and that actually works really, really well. I haven't posted the video to you yet, Kage, because I don't think you were awake when I tested it this morning. But there's some really interesting stamina up teams you can do with her.
Oh, M4 wanted to do Ares lead with her too.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I actually thought about doing Hippo and then Ares as just a regular teammate, and then just stack the stamina ups.
What do you think of pairing her with Ares and Poison Ivy, where Ares' stamina ups are permanent and can be passed to her to give her even more HP? On top of that, Ares is going to gain strength ups consistently, which will also proc her agility ups. This seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting teams to be had. I just started experimenting really today, heavy with her.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun team crafting with her already, and I haven't even sent you any of those yet. So, look for those here soon, probably.
Oh, yeah. While you're here, you said Hippolyta lead. Did you have DOJ as a teammate as well, by chance?
No, I didn't try that one. I did Hippo, Snoo. What else did I use?
That's what we're calling her now.
I think I used Power Girl.
That's what she is. I mean, come on.
And I used Supergirl and I used Wonder Girl. I was trying to make a team that's really annoying on defense.
That sounds like an annoying team. But the idea that Kage was going with is that DOJ can pass those permanent stamina ups to everybody and continually boost their power. Also, DOJ will taunt while she's above 40% health to protect the team. And then once below 40% health, she'll stop. But Giganta will kick in and start protecting the team.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of using, because I thought about that with Power Girl. Power Girl usually starts with a taunt and then it falls off, but that'd be right when Giganta kicks in with her taunts. So there's a lot of interesting teams to be had with those. But I like the idea of DOJ because of the stamina ups.
I think what we need is not just Wonder Girl to be purging everybody, but we need more characters with buff immunity, or to be able to place buff immunity for these type of taunting teams. The fact that one person taunts, and then as it drops, another person taunts, and another person taunts, I can see that being really annoying.
Get your true sight ready, boys.
Yeah. I hope they bring out more characters with true sight, because we only have a handful, less than a handful right now, actually. So, yeah.
I think we're at 4.
Yeah. So
4?
Yeah.
We have Red Robin, Superboy, Etrigan, and Silver Banshee.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot Etrigan has true sight.
How do you forget Etrigan has true sight? So good.
I thought you were going to say Silver Banshee because nobody knows that she has it.
I don't even know that she has it. Never L5.
Someone has to die.
You have to have a character on your team die.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I try not to do that.
There you go.
Well, obviously, but I mean, it is one thing that she can do.
Yeah.
Right. Etrigan rarely procs that true sight, so I never get it.
Rarely?
He procs
all the time.
25%, dude. Come on.
On his turn, yeah, but if you're playing against Swamp Thing teams or Grundy or something, you get for free, right? So
yeah, there's the secondary part that says if somebody revives, it automatically happens.
Yeah, you get for free.
Oh yeah.
It happens enough. It happens a decent amount. So.
And when you're facing him, he always has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Permabuff.
But I think the idea was that it's Lobo's revive, because when he revives, he taunts. That's what Etrigan was designed to counter.
Yeah. All right, we're getting way off topic here. Let's move on.
We are. Let's move on.
So we're going to move on to the next section, which is Nip Tuck.
You got a little more work done, huh? Yeah, just a little bit. Just tweaking. Maintenance.
That's hilarious. So now we're going to talk about Supergirl.
Yeah.
And I really like this rework. I know a lot of people were not as high on her early on, but I think quite a few people have come around. The biggest changes is that her leadership no longer grants the tremendous amount of strength ups, which before she was kind of a high damage character, and her boulder slam was kind of what you brought to the team. Have her come in, get a bunch of strengths ups, and nuke the entire enemy team, which before we had a physically dominated meta. But her leadership is no longer a leadership, it's just a passive, which basically her role is to just provide the negative critical damage. And then also her boulder, which still does okay damage, it doesn't do a lot. You really want it there just to reduce critical strikes. But the biggest change, and the one that really makes her a very powerful character, especially in what the meta had currently been for a little while was that her basic applies a 2-turn heal immunity. Is it 2-turn or 1? I can't remember.
I think it's 1, but it's on an AoE.
Yeah, it's an on AoE, and it provides, with the legendary upgrades, it provides 2 crit chance down and heal immunity. So having heal immunity on a basic attack is very strong, and they up the damage, so it's not pitiful damage. It's not great, but at least it's, halfway decent.
Well, it's still an AoE.
Exactly. So I've been really high on her. The main upgrades that you really need on her is just her basic. If you have her L1, you're pretty much set. The rest of her abilities are okay, but there's nothing that stands out on her legendaries, so you can kind of go with whatever you think is best. Her 2, which used to be the Strength of Hope, that provides death immunity, it no longer provides it across the entire team. It only applies it to one random ally on this legendary upgrade. So that kind of was a little bit of a nerf on that part. But overall, if you put her on your team, most of your characters are not going to get nuked right out of the gate, which makes certain teams particularly annoying because whenever you need to get rid of a Wonder Girl or an Etrigan, when you use Red Robin to buff Hired Gun Deadshot or a Strong Red that would normally kill them, Supergirl can usually keep them alive.
Constantine.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the fact that she's no longer a leader actually is a huge benefit to her on teams right now, because one of the teams that I have really hard time going up against, I call girl power, because everybody on the team is a girl. Literally, because it's a Batgirl lead with Wonder Girl, Power Girl, and Supergirl. It's the 4 girls of the game, right? And one of the strategies to dealing with that used to be, with Batgirl lead teams, was to bring Steppenwolf, but because Wonder Girl's on the team, you can't really bring Steppenwolf anymore. So what you have to do is probably figure out a way to snipe down, what's her name? Wonder Girl. So you probably bring Deadshot Higher Gun. But the fact that they have Supergirl there to protect Wonder Girl, it's really hard to just one-shot snipe her now. So that's probably the hardest team I've come across right now if you're not going with a sort of debuff strategy. If you're going for a hard-hitting offensive strategy and not sort of a slow, grindy strategy, it's a very, very hard team to take down. So, yeah. Girl power team. Look out for that.
I can see why you guys who play that, high-powered offense would be worried about it. I, on the other hand, do not care, because I play that slow, grindy game all the time. I love it, and it works for me. But as far as Supergirl goes, she has a lot of interesting synergies, I think. One thing to point out is that her basic, now with Legendary, makes Dr. Fate absolutely insane. So, because you can just bring all those heal immunities to everybody, and then he's going to have the chance to proc and blast them out of the water. It's so much fun to watch that happen. Just, and character's gone. So, I think Dr. Fate is going to pull his way back in a little bit. He's definitely one of those characters that is very underrated and very underutilized, I think, by a lot of people, because he also has multiple heal immunities. So if you're worried about rezzing, you just bring those two and you're good. And they're both really good at protecting the team, because you also have Dr. Fate's shielding that he grants, which also provide hit chance up, which is really good against those evasion teams as well. But I think Supergirl definitely has a lot of things that can be explored yet. We haven't really explored her for full potential yet, I don't think. I also think that Raven's another really good pairing for her. So
I had a team I was running with a Raven lead and Supergirl, and it worked extremely well. I'm glad to finally be able to bust her out.
Yeah, it seems like a really good, powerful team to go with. So, like I said, I still think there's a lot of things that we haven't even explored with Supergirl yet, just because her leadership got changed to a passive. There's so many options for her now.
What do you think, Kage?
I think she's kind of a must-have if you want to make a tankier roster, really. But that's about it.
Okay, fair enough.
Just a disclaimer to everybody. It is very early in the morning, and Kage and I got 6 hours of sleep, so just keep that in mind.
Fair enough. All right, so anything else?
They had a rough night.
Anything else about Supergirl before we...
Hey now.
This is PG.
Death by Snoo.
I will say that the devs did a really good job shaking up the meta this month. Having fun seeing those Clayface Swamp Thing combos disappear.
Hold at that. We'll move into that right now. All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna.
On that note, it's a good transition to
good segue.
Get into the arena. right, so as far as it goes, we have had a huge meta shift. Everything has been shaken up thanks to Wonder Girl, the free character this month. She has absolutely destroyed what was the meta and is currently in the process of creating a new meta, which I know I've said this previously about, state of the game and everything, and more true now than ever. Literally anything is viable. If you want to play a character, now is the time to do it. Build a team, go out there and have fun. The meta is wide open, cracked wide open. You cannot get a better time to play whatever character you want.
Unless they use buffs.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that.
Well, no, because Wonder Girl's not on every team. She's not on every team.
She is once you climb up to the top
bunch
100.
of teams.
She's on
well,
a lot of teams.
that's top 100. Nobody cares about top 100. You guys are all jerks. No, I think right now is the safest time it has ever been for anybody to play whatever they want. You're going to find a team at some point that'll allow you to play literally whatever you want on your board. I have been so just random teams have been everywhere, popping up just like crazy. So take your time to experiment now if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk?
So, okay, I'll just bring it up the stuff that's on the community drama bit about Wonder Girl. So there's a lot of people, the whole drama around her is the question of whether or not she's overpowered. We won't argue the fact that she's shifting the meta. That's definitely, the case. But the fact that, for example, there was obviously a problem with the way her passives were triggering, and I think that has been dealt with. Now, overall, there was some talk about people saying that maybe she needs a nerf in terms of her overall damage, or maybe just the fact that her passive shouldn't be doing as much damage as maybe her using the lasso actively, for example. Or maybe there should be ways to counter her proccing her passive on your turn, because I think M4 was saying on your guys' last podcast how she's the first character to actually check a state and do something on your turn, right? That is the first character to actually do that, right? So it's no one knows what to do right now about that whole thing. So people are crying for nerf or damage nerf or something like that. So what do you guys think about that whole debate?
Well, something I want to point out real quick, just if you don't have the buffs to trigger her double damage, she doesn't hit that hard to begin with, because a lot of times when she triggers the double damage, she also has a critical along with it. So just something to, keep in mind. If you don't rely on buffs already, you don't see her doing these crazy numbers.
I mentioned this on the previous podcast, but I do think that her passive ability is a little too strong, because it makes any energy character that if you have a buffing character, which is, I would say the vast majority of characters in the game rely on buffs to a certain point. Bleeders are probably one exception. There might be a handful of others, but there really isn't that many characters that don't. She makes energy characters pretty much irrelevant. You don't even think about them when she's on your team.
She wipes them out pretty fast.
Beyond even Etrigan level, which is, I didn't think possible.
Well, it's probably due to her gear set, too. She's going to have a higher strength than typical blues.
So let's play devil's advocate here. So let's say we do want to sort of fix her or nerf her a little bit. How would you go about doing it? So some people were saying, as I just said earlier, tone down the damage on the lasso, or tone down the damage on her passive lasso, or...
I think the passive lasso is the best option without neutering her, because she's still removing tons of buffs, which most characters, when they have an ability like a stun or something, they have some kind of compensating. They do lower damage, or some other they're super squishy. There's some reason to be allow them to do that, but she can just remove buffs at will and still does.
Wonder Girl is super squishy.
Yeah.
She's pretty squishy. She's not overly so. She'll die to a crit, but you can't. She
goes down pretty fast. I've had her die in 2 Lobo basic attacks.
Well, here's the other thing that I was thinking. What if we changed her gear set? So make it so that her overall damage is a little bit lower by changing her gear set. Would that be a good option? Or would that
But that would just change her crit rate.
Oh, that's true. So that could make it worse.
I think mainly that's the problem, though. It's her crits do so much damage. So when you're facing her and you're bringing energy characters, your energy characters just get obliterated because defensively they have such a high crit rate.
All right, well...
So basically at this point, the consensus is if the passive read something of deal 85% basic damage and has a reduced crit rate, then everything should be pretty much solved at that point, right?
Yeah, I think that would be a good, fair change-off.
But she doesn't even really crit that much for me ever. And she's like full max capacity, so I never see her crit that often. But that could be my RNG luck as a player.
I mean, the other thing about her is like there's other characters like her in the game. I guess the one character I'm thinking of right now is Terra, that had moves that procs AoEs like that, and I don't think there were any characters that actually did exactly the same amount of damage as their original AoE. I think maybe actually the one exception I'm thinking of right now is Silver Banshee actually, but the way to get. But Silver Banshees wasn't guaranteed. Even maxed out, it wasn't 100%, right? The fact that you're getting 100% guaranteed passive proc is... Oh, that's the other thing I think of. What if you turn the passive to no longer be 100%? What if you turned it down to like slightly lower, like 85, 75%? Would that make up for it? Or is that still too good?
I think that would be decent, but once again, the defensive AI is going to...
Always get it on every
always
turn.
do it. I mean,
Especially
when I face the computer, I don't have as big of a problem, but my characters are L5 level 80 more often than not. But I can see on my defensive log that people really struggle against Wonder Girl.
It's because she's forcing them to think in a different way that they're not used to. Like, she brings in an entirely new strategy because she counters their strategy so hard.
Yeah.
I'm with Ogre on this one.
Yeah. So, I mean... Let's see what we've learned here. People don't like to think, and yeah, they just like to cry wolf and call for nerfs.
Well,
welcome to the internet.
I think there's nothing wrong with slight balancing when you have characters that come in that there's no reason to use another character over them ever. Like I can't see any reason why I would take a different character other than Wonder Girl to 99% of my matches.
See, I would never use Wonder Girl. But I have a completely different strategy, and she doesn't play into my strategy at all. I don't care how many buffs the enemy team has. Like, that's just my strategy. So I think the problem is that people are reliant on one strategy of this get it done, hit fast, hit hard, no mercy, Cobra Kai BS. Like, get over it and be the Karate Kid.
I will point out that someone on Reddit made a post saying that the foundation of DCL is buffing. You must buff to make a character worth it. I think that was the argument.
That was Fry's.
I completely disagree. That is not the core of DCL. There is a very actually slim chunk of characters that do it. It's about a third of the roster that actually buffs.
We gotta put pencil to paper here on that kind of thing. So maybe this will be something we'll take up.
I will check through that and I'll get the answer to you guys in a Reddit poster at some point.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully today before I go into work, but if not, then tonight.
Cool.
But I will actually check all 90 whatever characters that we have and double check how many actually rely on their buffs.
Cool. Some homework for Ogre. All right, cool. So other than the Wonder Girl drama, any other things you guys want to talk about in terms of the arena?
Well, we have those blitzes and challenges going on for Nightwing shards as well, as well as the gem blitzes for the villains right now, currently going on. I know a lot of people are really excited about these things, and as am I. These things are great. They're amazing. I think everybody's going to be, happy that these continue, and I know I am. So looking forward to the future as these continue to happen. I know Nightwing isn't somebody that everybody wants, but you also have to take into consideration that the Titans month, or the Titans event, is going on with the release of Teen Titans Go in the movie theaters. So this was the way for the developers to get Nightwing into the hands of newer players who just didn't have him, so that they could at least try to compete in this event.
Yep.
Now, the villain blitz has been really fun, just because I like that they're making it completely different. Where the meta that you're seeing in the villain blitz is very different than the meta you see in the traditional game. Partially because Wonder Girl isn't there, but
it's still Harley.
You still see Harley, but I'm actually seeing a lot of Doomsday, which really surprises me.
Yeah.
And I've had Doomsday actually be
Really?
a little bit of a pain. Yeah.
I came up against an oldie but a goldie, the Deathstroke lead Doomsday Grundy Lobo team, right? And all gear,
Oh,
gear
yeah.
11, all gear 11, all bad guys all the time.
Well, the thing is, you don't have Red Hood. The normal counters that you have, they're not there, so you're seeing different things kind of crop up, which I really enjoy seeing, and I hope to see more unusual, unique types of things like this in the future, because it's really fun and refreshing when you're playing.
Yeah,
And
I think these blitzes definitely open up things for everybody, because it takes away the staleness of seeing the same teams over and over. That's for dang sure.
And a question we have for you, Ogre, since you may have additional insight, and we do know that the Deathstroke event, what's the name of the event? Teen something?
Titans Go? No, not Titans Go.
Yeah, the Teen Titans Go event, or whatever it is.
Titans go for it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the most challenging events they've ever done, and there's supposed to be interesting rewards that even veterans will like beyond just the Deathstroke shards. Any additional insight you're able to give us on that at all, Ogre, or no?
Did we even cover the fact that I went to WB on Friday?
We're going to do that later.
Oh, okay. So do we want to talk about this now or later? I mean,
let's do it later.
Just this particular event.
As far as this particular question goes, I didn't ask about it. I didn't talk about this one at all while I was there.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay, well, one last thing before we move on. As we're talking about the PvP blitzes, the gem blitzes, I guess the one thing that hasn't already been said, or maybe has already been said in a previous podcast, is that if it's not at all obvious to newer players, it really behooves you to really have a more expanded roster to get the most out of these challenges, the most out of these showdowns. Because if you're focusing, for example, all on a certain type of affinity, or only heroes, or only villains, you're probably going to miss out when these type of events roll around. So try and diversify, but obviously don't stretch yourself out too thin, because you also want to have a core of strong characters as well. So right.
I think something to point out here is that we always advise keeping 12 characters, not 4. You don't want to have just 4 characters. You want to have about 12 that you're gearing out and leveling up, evenly. And obviously that'll put you lower than your player level. And don't worry about that. You will catch up eventually, because eventually your player level will cap out. So just focus on around 12 characters, different affinities, different, hero villain statuses, and different things like that. That way you can compete in all these kinds of events.
Exactly.
Because if you only have 4, you're never going to be able to compete in anything effectively.
Here's the other piece of advice in terms of gearing. When you're working on, let's say, those 12 characters, maybe let's say your current gear is gear 10. You can work on other side characters, but not those that are not those 12 characters. And let's say you want to get them up to slightly below where your current max is. So if your max is gear 10, let's say you aim for gear 8 or gear 9 on some other side characters. So that way, when the event rolls around, that you have at least a few characters at medium strength that you can at least compete a little bit with, so that you're not really handicapped, right? So that's sort of the same idea. Like for me personally, my max is gear 11. I only have a handful of gear 11 characters, but I have almost my entire roster at gear 10. So I'm not saying you have to do exactly what I'm doing, but it's a strategy that will help you have a more diversified roster when you need it.
Yeah, I think I want to say too is that I know a fair number of people who are entirely too worried about who's meta and who's not. And I think these PvP showdowns help you to really think outside that box.
Just to say it, tier lists are bad. The people who create them are bad. Focus on whoever you want to play. Have fun. This is a game. Yeah. Have fun.
Hey, now I was going to make a new tier list soon.
You're bad. You're bad. Alrighty. So let's move on to the next section then, alright? So that means it is the Event Horizon.
We talked about the gym blitzes and the PvP stuff for events, but now we have had the Wonder Girl challenge. Both of them are open. The second one was very hard. Those minions hit really hard. I actually lost Dr. Poison in the last node to the last 2 minions. I had already defeated Wonder Girl. The last 2 minions double shot. Dr. Poison killed her, and she's full gear 11. I was just like, oh, what?
Okay.
So it really confused me on that one. But yeah, the minions are hitting a lot harder than they used to.
Thank
so
God.
the events are getting a little bit harder, so that's something to keep in mind. They are getting harder. And then we also had the Terra challenge, which, hopefully you got a chance to get your Terra to a good point. She's a good character.
Yeah.
Offers a lot to your team protection. And then obviously we have the Titans Go For It event coming up, which currently is billed as the hardest content ever created for the game. It also has a very limited roster. I think it's 10 characters can enter into this thing. Do we have that list by chance, VP?
No, I don't have it offhand right now, but it's all the Titans. So it's all the Titans and Deathstroke.
Right, but so the Titans
here in a second.
Okay, the Titans that were specifically not necessarily ones that people would think about, I think were Supergirl was one of the big ones that you can use in the event, that you wouldn't necessarily think she was a Titan, but she is. And then I think it was Blue Beetle, Raven, Wonder Girl, Nightwing. Shoot, I'm forgetting who else was there. But anyway, there's 10 characters that you get for the most part. They're all really good. It's just people don't necessarily use them because they're all been outside the meta for the most part. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what people do with this event and how they react to it. I know not everybody's, super hyped about the Deathstroke shards, but literally this is supposed to be the most challenging content they've created. So I think a lot of people are going to miss out on this event just because of the Deathstroke shards.
Yep.
And it's making me sad to think that because, this is something really super cool that we're going to get, and it's only going to be open for 6 days.
Well, there's supposed to be rewards that we're supposed to be excited about.
On that note,
if you don't need Deathstroke shards.
Did you guys see the update in the recent update? If you look at the Titans Go panel and you click on it, it now shows Deathstroke shards and life and death rings there. We don't know if they're guaranteed or not, but they're listed there. So yeah. And
there was also Essence, XP, and Gear, I believe, were also available
in the announcement, right? So the one thing that we're hoping is that all that stuff that they're adding in for us hopefully is guaranteed, at least for the first run. So that'll give people incentive to run through it. So that's my main hope.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes because as of right now, I'm wondering just how far, how high rank you need to be, what gear level you need to be, because obviously right now, Gear 9 can pretty much complete any event.
Yep.
If you get Gear 9 or better, you can pretty much complete the event.
Yep. So
I'm wondering if that's going to be enough. I don't think it will be. Also, there's 10 nodes, and it says an increasing, legendary or increasing rank required for each node. Does it require L5? I hope not, but, it's one of those things that the community is speculating on, because we just don't know.
I really hope it's not required to be a certain legendary rank or gear level. I just hope that it's hard enough that you have to be to survive it in super late rounds. That's
right,
really what I want to see.
I think the legendary rank was the only one that we were really concerned about. Gear rank has never been one of those things that they've had there, but it does say increasing rank required. So that's why people are speculating, does it require L5? Because it just happens to be 10 nodes.
I think it's going to be kind of a throwback to the DOJ style hero challenges with increasing ranks. So that's what I think. You need Legendary 1 to complete node 10 or something like that.
So you need a certain amount of ranked to be able to complete certain nodes is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
All right. I could see that.
Well, yeah, it definitely gives that vibe. It's just, will L1 be enough or will it require L3 or L5? We don't know because it doesn't really specify that.
I really doubt L5 will ever be a requirement because what percentage of people will have enough L5 characters to play at that, it'll be the 1% and most of them being owls.
Yeah, UGLA.
Yeah, I get
and
that.
Amazon have a few.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so for this event, the one thing that I'm thinking, like, I'm probably going to play it even though I have enough shards for an L5 Deathstroke, but I'm going to play it because it sounds interesting. I think now with the limited roster that you have, it's giving me a throwback to the very back in the day, the Captain Cold Hero Challenge. Do you guys remember that one? The Captain Cold Hero Challenge was one of the hardest hero challenges, I think, maybe the hardest hero challenge ever. Do you guys agree?
Was that the one
Yeah,
everybody was
Kage-
upset about? Because
Yes,
it was
Captain
only like
Cold
4
was the
people.
one everybody was upset about.
Yeah. It had a super, super limited roster. It was very, very limited. And the characters that...
I think it was only like 10 or 12 characters. It wasn't big.
No, it wasn't that much because I think it was 5 because I remember looking at it and thinking I didn't even have enough characters for it.
Yeah. So
I couldn't field a 4-man.
It was more than 5, I promise you that, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's harkening back to that, right? Because about 10 or so characters, a dozen or so characters, is basically that challenge all over again, right? The only thing is this time, you know, the prizes are obviously different, and the difficulty may even be even harder than that one, because the hardest part of that one, I remember was the last node was Captain Cold and Reverse Flash. Like, they just combo together so well, and if you didn't have the right characters, you basically needed Captain Cold to beat his own challenge, right? That's what I remember. So
Yeah, it was one of those things where you had to bring turn meter control, and he was like the only one that was available for it.
yeah. Someone actually posted that one. There was Flash, Green Arrow, 2 Green Arrows, Mirror Master, Supergirl, Captain Cold, Reverse Flash, Hippolyta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters. 8 characters in that one.
Beautiful.
Jeez.
Yeah, I remember that because I had the 2 arrows, but I never geared Flash. And the Mirror Master was rare. Supergirl at the time, like all these characters were, and then Supergirl was rare at the time. So then
She had been an event.
Yeah, and then the other 3 were new characters. So yeah, there was only 5 characters that were not the new ones.
Yeah. But anyways, like, let's just hope that with the amount of characters that we have access to now, and it should be enough to get through most of the things. So the other thing I'm hoping for is that the challenge isn't like, you can get a lot out of the challenge without actually having to complete it. That's what I'm hoping, and it'll give people a reason to keep running through it. Let's say you get through half fit or 3/4 of the way, and like, let's say you get stuck at node 10 or something like that. But the fact that you can rerun it and get as far as you did each time, and you can still get something out of it, that will make a great event, I think. So I just hope it's not like, you know, you have to get very far into it to get a payoff. You know what I mean? That's what I hope.
Yeah, if its reward structure is set up the way that the Wonder Girl, the 10-day hero challenges are, you're going to need to complete it to make anything worthwhile. So, like, the first couple nodes aren't going to seem worthwhile. But I hope you're right. I hope it's a little bit more, like, static. Not so.
What I would actually like to see is have the shards for Deathstroke kind of be more weighted towards the early parts, because the majority of players that are longtime players don't need them as much, but the newer players want them, but then have the other rewards scale up more towards the end. So that would give a good blend. When it gets really hard, the rewards that the vets care about are towards the end, etc.
Cool.
That would make a lot of sense, yeah.
All right. Anything else before we move on?
Let's keep chugging. We're almost over an hour in.
All right, so let's move on to, where are we? Shop Talk. All right, so Shop Talk. Let's see here. So first things first, we got some bug fixes in the latest update, quote-unquote bug fixes. The first one, well, I guess the biggest one that they claimed to have fixed was the cheat death-related bug fixes, namely with Clayface, Catwoman, Penguin, etc. And on my notes here, I put fixed with a question mark. Apparently,
well, Clayface got his nice big new buff. That's what I'm calling.
So to get into that more, first of all, the cheat death mechanic let's just talk about the cheat death mechanic for a second. So for those of you who were living under a rock and don't know what we're talking about, before, every time you would kill Clayface after he revived, most of the time he would clap and then sort of do his cheat death mechanic and still be there, and the game would be the battle would be over and you'd get defeated. right? Even though all your
Now
characters are still around.
that's specifically revolved around him reviving thanks to Swamp Thing,
Right,
correct?
right. So yeah, so that was sort of him coming back after and then cheating death again. So basically what happens now is that with the new fix, he claps even though he's supposed to actually trigger his cheat death mechanic, but he'll just die now. And then apparently he goes invisible and does his Roar of the Monster, his buff move, over and over and over again at the beginning of each character's turn, or each of his allies' turns. So pretty much that means they get infinite invisibility and infinite agility ups every turn. Yeah.
I
It's
really want
okay.
to see Deadman or some other character like that have an ability that, obviously not that OP, but have an ability where when they die, they do something to help your team each turn or something. That would be really neat.
That would be super cool.
Yeah, I actually had that come up and won because I was playing with all special damage, so the agility didn't actually matter. So the fact that everyone was invisible was actually helping me because you could actually attack everybody. So I actually won that battle, but I could understand how people were getting upset over it because you can't actually kill them if they're having infinite agility ups. But yeah. Then there was some quality of life changes. There was the replay button added to multiple upgrade missions. I believe every upgrade mission, so that people who are running through it manually without speed forcing it, you could actually stay. You could go right back into the battle screen without having to go out into the map and then clicking back into it. So it's less clicks overall. I think it's 1 or 2 less clicks overall. But
Hooray!
it's something that
Hooray!
everyone's pretty much been asking for, right? So, yeah. That was a huge thing. And then there was the whole controversy over rounded counters. So, for those of you guys who don't know, a lot of the currency and other general numbers like trophies in the game have been rounded to the nearest 1,000th, I believe. So, let's say, for example, 17.
It's not the nearest
Right.
1,000.
So, 17.
It is actually the floor.
Right. So I was going to say that, right? So 1,700, for example, would be 1.7K, but we've been showing that it's not actually rounding, it's flooring, which means, for example, 1,699 would normally be rounded to 1.7K, but it's actually rounded to, or floored to 1.6K, meaning even if you have higher, like even if you're closer to the higher number, it'll round down all the time. So this is really bad in a lot of senses, especially if you're actually keeping track of certain currencies, right? You want to know how much of certain currencies you actually have to pay for certain things, for example. And another place where this comes up is trophies. You want to know how close you are to the next cutoff, for example, whether it be top 1,500 or top 100. So the only players in the game who actually can see their full trophy count at any given point are the top 100. Right?
You actually get to see it at the end of every battle,
Right.
technically,
But I'm
so you'd have to
saying-
remember
But
that.
You'd actually be in
Aren't those the only ones that matter anyway?
Shut your face.
So yeah, we have that whole issue, and I believe Hatemael and M4 and you guys had a lot of conspiracy theories on your last podcast. You guys want to share that just briefly for the viewers or for the listeners?
Well, we thought that possibly, and we'll ask Ogre about this later, but we thought possibly that Gear 12 might be closer than we originally suspected because it didn't make a lot of sense as to why would they even add this. So the two predominant theories that M4 and I had been contemplating were that either they're trying to make screen space so that they can add another resource, or inflation, and that would mean numbers becoming so large that they would have to condense them down. So then we thought, well, why would numbers suddenly get so much larger? And the only thought we could have would be possibly that Gear 12 could be on the horizon.
Yeah, I think personally, like
And the community let out a collective wail.
Yeah. I mean, I think out of all those theories, I mean, both of them are fine. The one thing that makes the most sense to me from a sort of developer standpoint is probably the idea of screen real estate, right? So freeing up space for more screen real estate makes the most sense to me. We don't know for what, but let's say they introduced a new currency, for example, that could be interesting. So let's say it's something that worked towards a shard exchange or something. That would be cool too. So that actually opens up the possibilities to something more positive. So maybe something that we've been asking for and they're going to finally implement it, right? So So maybe not, we don't have to freak out about it too much, but the one thing that I do want them to fix if they can in the next update is the trophy count. You don't need to round, 4 or 5 numbers.
And the gems.
Yeah, sorry, gems too. You should probably need to know how many gems you have, more or less. Exactly.
Well, one suggestion for that would be if you could just, hold down on it, it tells you exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good fix.
Have like a hover thing, right? So that would work. So other than that, in terms of shop talk, the only other thing to talk about that came up for me personally was the Martian Manhunter thank you pack. It was about $50 that offered 100 shards for 10,000 gems and 10,000 legendary essence for $50. It's a pretty good deal overall. It's not as good as the overall $100 packs for the $100 character packs that are given out each month for new characters. But I will say that it is the best thank you pack personally right now for Martian Manhunter because he's a very hard to get character, especially for those definitely newer players. So if this does come up for you, I'd probably jump on it if I were you. It's kind of like on the same line as the Superman packs, but you can access Superman shards a little bit easier than Martian Manhunter, but it's still
really he has access where he's not actually available right now.
Well, I mean, you can get Superman through the, what do you call it? Those the missions, by doing the
campaign.
Right, but that's just unlocking him. That doesn't actually rank him up.
No, I mean, well, you can actually, I guess you can access Martian Manhunter through Alliance packs too. But anyways, there is slightly less access to Superman currently, but he has been accessible previously, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So,
you gotta remember where new players are at in this, I think.
Fair enough.
Because new players, Martian Manhunter is available, Superman is not. Right. So it just depends on, and I think that's part of what if you look at the way these deals are going out, Superman is being presented to like newer or lower players, I should say, whereas the Martian Manhunter one is for more high-end players.
Actually, there's a division in those packs, actually. So I pointed this out before. There's two or maybe even 3 types of these thank you packs because they come in different sizes. And a couple of Alliance members and I have noticed the differences because we have, in our Alliance in particular, we have some semi-whales, we have dolphins, and we have free-to-play players. So some people have noticed, for example, like a $5 pack. Some people have noticed like a $50 pack or a $60 pack. For example, there was one for Deadshot Hired Gun before, one for Power Girl, one for Superman, and now for Martian Manhunter, right? So the scale of these packs, we believe, now this is the sort of tinfoil hat conspiracy theory thing that I was saying before, is that based on your current, I guess, category or expenditure, what you want to fall into, if you're a free-to-play player, you're most likely going to get the cheaper offers. And they're going to give you lower shard counts, lower gems, but obviously the entry point is going to be a lot cheaper, right? Just sort of get your foot in the door. Let's say you're someone who's spent a little bit of money throughout, let's say the last couple of months. They're probably going to offer you something in the $25 to $50 range because, they know that's probably something that you might consider. But if you're a big whale, they know that they can count on you to buy the paywall character the paywall character pack pretty much every month, like Hate does. And so why do they need to keep shelling out more thank you packs to you? Which is ironic because they should be thanking those guys.
Yeah, I'd like to see the thank you blue whale pack.
I said, just as a note, I'm considered a guppy, I think. I usually spend maybe $10 to $20 here and there, not every month, but enough to where I am considered a guppy, I guess. I haven't seen any thank you pack at all yet.
Okay, maybe you're slowly edging into the whale category. Maybe that's what.
God, I hope not.
But yeah, I'm probably in the same, I guess, placement as you are, and I've seen the Martian Manhunter pack and the Superman pack. I actually skipped on the Superman pack because I got him to L5 recently. So actually, I got him to L5 with thank you pack. Now that I think of it, yes, actually that is right. So that's what I did. And with the Martian Manhunter pack, I was considering it, but I only want Martian Manhunter to L4, and I'm only about 30 shards away. So I didn't want to get 100 shards and have access. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, these packs, for those of you who do see it come up from time to time, it's very random. It only lasts for a day. So, and most of the time the deals are really good. So if I were you, I'd consider it. Definitely. So anything else that you guys want to talk about in terms of the shop? Anything that comes to mind? Okay.
I'll have some stuff to say when you start questioning me, but other than that, no.
All right, so our last category here, which is probably going to be where we're going to spend the bulk of our time, is going to be the Community Watchtower.
Wait, you mean we're gonna take the Watchtower out of orbit and drop it right on top of their little science project?
So the Community Watchtower, the first topic, what I have under my notes here, the favorite child gets another visit to the candy factory, which means Ogre's second visit.
How am I favored?
How are you not favored?
I live
Only
2
one of
hours
us.
away. That's why.
Okay. All right. So Ogre gets another visit to Warner Brothers San Francisco. So we're not sure what we can ask you about. So what can you tell us about it?
You guys can ask me about anything. It's just what I'll be allowed to say,
All right.
as per usual.
Before we ask the
But
question,
I'll just go ahead and state that on Friday, what was it, the 20th, I think, I actually went to Warner Brothers for the second time. Mrs. Ogre got to come along this time. They had her sign an NDA as she got there. We were immediately greeted by Stanner, taken back, and I got to talk with Sean, who's the lead developer, lead designer, character designer. I got the one-on-one with him quite a bit, and Stanner and Mrs. Ogre kind of, did their own tour and different things that, because she's never been there. So I focused more on talking to Sean about, what the players' concerns are, what they had planned for the future, kind of stuff. So I got to learn a lot. And then we had lunch and we got to play with the new characters for August. They look gorgeous, and they're going to be very exciting characters. I think people are going to be really excited for them. So it's one of those things that I'm really hoping people that if you just hold off a little bit longer, stuff's going to happen that you're going to be really excited about. If you're thinking about, maybe dropping the game, just give it a little bit longer. I think you're going to be really excited for a lot of the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So
Now, do we have like a certain timeline as far as new stuff is coming along, or can you not share that?
All right. So as far as a specific timeline, there isn't any specifics yet, but what I was told was keep in mind there's 2 things that are right around the corner as far as in terms of this year. One being that DCL hits its 2-year anniversary on November 2nd. So keep that in mind. They're probably going to have stuff ready by then to come out to us. And then the second date to keep in mind was that they want to have special stuff for December, for those big holiday sales and stuff like that. They want to have good stuff for us then. So those are the 2 big time frames to keep in mind before the end of 2018.
Okay, cool. So what do we want to ask Ogre?
Did you get to ask them about Enrage becoming a buff?
I did, and the short answer is it is a complicated game mechanic that they would be able to turn it into a buff, so it is not likely to ever turn into a buff. They're just going to leave it as something that the player has to take into consideration.
Okay.
My question would be what we addressed on the last podcast. Do we foresee Gear 12 sooner than later?
Gear 12, when I asked them, was immediately debunked. The reasoning behind the change to the display is actually not related to that. However, it is potentially related to larger rewards of some sort.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know a lot of the specifics. That's pretty much all I was given. So, just there's
So screen
something
real
coming
estate
with a
is
really
more
large
about-
reward.
Screen real
What's that?
estate. Screen real estate seems to be more the direction than if Gear 12 is not.
Yeah, I would say that that's more likely at this point, is that they have a lot of things that are going to be happening soon
Potential
that we don't
currencies
necessarily
and-
know about yet. But it's not Gear 12. Don't stress about that.
What about a PvP, the trophy counts, as far as changing it to a static count? Did they say anything about that?
Yeah, I brought up that, at least the trophy count, and he agreed, that, they need to fix that one. And then I brought up the gem thing, and he said, yeah, we'll probably change that one too. So, it's something that they know because obviously the devs do play the game too. I just want to, remind people of that. And they're like, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't have changed that one.
Okay, cool. Was there anything in specific that, because I know that you were there to interview the developers, right? The lead developer. So what exactly was the premise? This is going to be on their next podcast, I'm guessing?
Yes, while I was there, after lunch, we recorded the next episode of the official podcast. So you'll be able to get, hopefully, a bunch of the interview questions that I asked him. Obviously, we're going over some of those questions right now also, but you'll actually get to hear the direct answer that he gave me for these things too. So if I paraphrased or misspoke, you'll be able to correct that when the official podcast drops.
Cool.
What was that PvP shop thing you were talking about before the podcast?
Oh, I had suggested a storefront the same way that we have Alliance storefront, where you're able to pick and choose, the deal that you want.
Oh man,
I suggested that to them for the battle essence.
The limited offers, the limited time offers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the like, oh, I see Aquaman, I'm gonna buy Aquaman, or I see Martian Manhunter, I'm gonna buy Martian Manhunter. Like, I suggested them doing that for the PvP packs as well, and they seem like they like the idea. So
why not, right? It just gives people a more.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because if you look at the two currencies, I actually went over this in one of my resource management videos. The currencies are exactly the same rate, just 10 times more in terms of Alliance Essence versus Arena Essence, right? So basically all you have to do, or Battle Essence, that's what it is. So all you have to do is just take the same denominator and divide it by 10, and there you go. And there you have a limited time offer shop ready to go.
Funny enough, they just call it Red Essence.
They just call it Red and Blue? Okay. Maybe that's what I should call
it. To be fair, when I'm talking to them, I have to kind of pick up on what they're saying because their lingo and terminology is different than the player bases a little bit.
I just abbreviate things based on what they actually put out there. If they want to call it red and blue, it might as well just be called red and blue and be done with it.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, they do call it a little bit different, powers and skills and different things, and legendaries, and all the things that we refer to, they have slightly different terminology and naming. Like, when we say take a power at a legendary or use the point on it or whatever, they're talking about ascending and stuff like that. It's just interesting to hear them talk about it. It's really cool.
I've noticed that word ascend come up, I think, in some of the descriptions, the posts that Stanner and previous community managers put out before. I've seen that before.
Yeah, when you ascend to legendary, that's what they're referring to. It's interesting.
It's not the first time I've heard that. So, cool. All right.
So maybe they are run by aliens.
I don't know where that came from. Okay. Alrighty.
Now that you bring that up, though, I do want to actually mention that keep in mind that WB Games San Francisco is a little subsidiary company of WB, so it does actually share resources through all of WB International. So I know we've had a lot of problems with QA and bugs and stuff like that. QA is one of those sections that is actually shared through all of WB.
Yeah. I'm sure customer service is also...
So what you're saying is...
And customer support, too.
There's one QA guy for everything.
I wouldn't say there's one QA guy for everything, but it's not necessarily dedicated to DCL.
It's probably not the same people in the same office. That's the other thing. So
yeah, I don't think there was anybody in the office that actually is QA specifically. I think those people are based out of somewhere else.
I think a lot of people, especially who aren't familiar with this type of industry, they believe that the game developers take care of everything. They don't realize that, for example, the shop is probably run by the marketers and customer services.
The shop is run by the marketers, and the marketer they are on site for the marketers.
Yeah.
But there's 4 or 5 different games that are developed at the studio, and the marketers run all of those shops.
Right. And I work in this type of business too, and people often think because I work in one department, they tell me they want something done in a certain area, that I can walk over to that department hey, John, can you do this for me? No, because he's not in my exact like vicinity where I can walk over and talk to him. I have to go like to a different floor, to a different office. I have to like call people and arrange a meeting. It's not easy. These are big businesses.
Yeah, it's a really complicated thing. People just don't understand how these businesses work.
People believe that the devs control everything, and that's just not how it is. They're there to fix problems.
The reality is they only control a little bit.
Okay, well, enough of that technical talk, I guess. Anything?
Well, I mean, it's good stuff that people kind of need to know. I mean, I think they need to know it, and that's why I wanted to share it.
Yeah, I think more people would be interested in it than you'd think.
Okay. Maybe that could be another thing that you could bring up the next time you're there. Can you give us a breakdown of the WB hierarchy?
Well, that's what actually prompted this, was that I asked, how many people do you have per department? And that's where the idea that shared
Fair enough.
capability came in. And it's like, we don't actually have control over a lot of that stuff. So that's why I wanted to share it, because, obviously I didn't know that, so I, as me being surprised by it, and I feel that I'm fairly well informed. So I would, like to pass that on to everybody and make sure everybody's informed.
So how much control do the devs actually have over the game?
They have control over the game itself, like, the bugs and the characters and the events and all that other stuff. They have a lot of control over that. It's just, certain things, aspects like QA and customer support and stuff like that are part of the larger company.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what's next on the list. So I guess this is the big meat and potatoes part of the show. So this being the supposedly supposed to be the August episode, but it's actually the 12th episode. So this is our anniversary episode of the show and why we're doing the crossover with We RRR Legends. So what I'd like to do at this part of the Community Watchtower is let's talk to the We RRR Legends crew, and in their sort of interview usual format, let's start with Hatemael. I guess you're the guy who started it all, kind of, with Slow. Tell people how long you've been playing the game for and how you got into the game.
I think I started playing the first week it was released. I honestly don't remember because I have no memory of that time period.
Yep.
But I know it was Slow's idea to start the podcast. He'd actually listened to me be a guest on you guys' show, and that's exactly how We RRR Legends started.
Uh-huh.
We'd talked about making a podcast for years, and we just never had something that we were both really into that we really liked. And I really wish Slow could have been on this episode, actually, but he had a lot of personal things going on in life, and now he never was as into the game as I think the four of us have been. But I mean, he enjoys the game, but he's not hardcore. He doesn't play like we do. So it was more he wanted to do the podcast than he wanted to actually be committed to the game. It was funny when he heard the podcast, he had actually quit playing DCL for a while. We talked about the podcast and we talked about doing this, and I was like, well, I'm super into this game. Let's do it. And then he goes, all right, I'll start playing again. And then that was kind of how it formed. But yeah, I've been playing ever since the very beginning. I wasn't in the beta, but I was within the first week, I'm pretty sure.
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about your history with DC, I guess, or with comics in general?
Believe it or not, I was more of a Marvel fan before this game.
Boo.
So I'd always read all the Marvel comics. Then I started watching the show. Then the Marvel comic did that. They did where they had to change all the characters, and they did all the big changes, and everybody it was garbage. So, and I kind of just started getting into DC comics when this game came out. So I'd started reading a lot more of them. I'd read Flash and some of the popular storylines in the past. But then when I started playing this game heavy, it got me really into the DC mythos. And then I went hardcore and started buying every comic that they released, probably for the last 3 years, maybe 2.5. So I got into DC just before I started playing this game heavy.
Cool. All right. Thanks for that. I guess we'll move on to Kage again. So let's interview you. I guess tell people, when did you start playing DCL and what got you into the game? And tell us your history with DC and comics in general, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I started playing around DOJ month. I think I joined like a week after her launch. And I just got into the game because I was researching some comics, and because Wonder Woman at the time was pretty big, and I just wanted to get into Wonder Woman material. And the comic historian was like, yo, dude, play this game. It's pretty cool. And I'm like, what? This game's boring. What? So I started playing. I got really bored. Went and played on and off, and here I am now, just kind of just, I'm more into it for the community. I'm not really into it for the game because I don't know. I find grinding really boring and speed forcing these nodes really boring. But besides that, I've always been more of a DC guy. I only cared for Wolverine for Marvel, but I think that's it. Yeah, always been a Batman, Wonder Woman kind of guy. It's my thing.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, Ogre, anything else you want to ask these guys?
I think you pretty much covered the basics. I mean,
all right, cool. So when we talk about, I guess that's the DCL related chunk of it. Let's move on to sort of.
Oh well, I guess I got one thing.
Sure.
Who are y'all's personal favorite characters currently?
Oh, good question.
Ooh.
Good question.
In game or just as a overall?
Let's go overall.
Both.
That's tough. I think in game right now, I gotta think on that one. Okay, go ahead.
My favorite in-game
Under the bus.
Jessica Cruz.
Ooh. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I just put her as my profile pick, and I know that if I level Starfire to L4, I'm like, no, Starfire pick, no. In comics, I think I like Wonder Woman really well.
In comics, it's pretty much Starfire and the entire Green Lantern universe, because I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. But in game, probably Starfire's up there, but I think the character I just have the most fun playing, weirdly enough, and I use tons, is Shazam.
Ooh.
What?
It's kind of...
Anytime I make a team that's not, I'm testing something or doing something, I usually have Shazam on my team.
I would have figured
an underrated character.
I would have figured Catwoman would be your favorite.
She was for a long time, but I really haven't used her much lately. I don't know why. Shazam's kind of replaced her.
I think ever since the Deathstroke nerf, a lot of people just fell off the map.
So I guess let's try and think of something non-DCL related to talk about. Well, I mean, I guess sort of DC related. I was going to move on to the next topic being new TV show and movie trailers. So did you guys see the Titans trailer? The trailer of the TV show Titans?
I saw it, yeah.
Okay. So what do you guys think of that?
Starfire looks like a hooker.
Ooh, shots fired.
I can't disagree at all because I am so disappointed with how Starfire looks.
Yeah.
To be fair, the premise of the show is supposed to be that only Robin is actually an established hero. The others are not. So I get that they don't actually have their, superhero, outfits or anything yet, but she looks like a hooker.
And to be fair, it's Dick Grayson, really. It's not even Robin, right? It's Robin making the transition between Robin and Nightwing, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I'm really confused where the attitude that he has is, because Dick never really had that attitude. It was always more Jason that did. So I was really confused when I saw the character. I'm like, oh, it's Jason. Wait, no, it's Dick? What?
Here's a bit of a spoiler. If you actually look at the credits on IMDb or if you just Google the Titan show, you'll see that there's a Jason Todd character as well. So there's going to be a Red Robin, I believe. So somewhere in there.
Red Hood?
Wait, Jason Todd? Yeah, sorry, Red Hood. I'm thinking of Tim.
You're thinking of Tim Drake.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Tim. Sorry. Yeah,
Tim's the one with the attitude more than anybody. So
no, Tim is the nice guy.
Tim is the nice one. He's the nerdy one, right? He's
not Tim. I'm sorry.
Jason's the one with the attitude.
Yeah, Jason Todd's going to be the one who's like the dark one going after Joker type of thing, right? But
yeah, that's why I was so confused in the trailer. I thought it was Jason. The way he was acting and like what he said and everything, I was just like, "Oh, it's Jason." And then I found out it was Dick, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, because Nightwing is supposed to be, Batman's best buddy, right? Like, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, he was the original Robin, and he was supposed to be like, he actually enjoyed Batman, and it was like I was really confused as where the attitude was coming from on this one.
So to be clear, so what we see from the trailer, for those of you who haven't seen it, you'll see. What's his name? You'll see Dick Grayson, quote unquote Robin / Nightwing, Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy, and I think that's it so far.
That was it.
And all you get.
Raven was the only one that looked
have been
decent.
You see some of the villains too, right?
Yeah, Raven looked decent, and then honestly, Beast Boy, depending on how his animations for his transformations look, could be really cool.
Yeah. The one thing, like I was saying, we're just talking about Starfire earlier. I was surprised that they casted an African American as her. Not to say that she can't be African American because she's an alien.
I actually wasn't surprised on that one.
Really? I thought that she was going to be sort of like a Hawaiian chick or something like that. That's what that's the sort of
I can see that
Starfire
too
I have in my mind. As I have there's two Starfires, right? You have the Teen Titans Starfire, like the sort of cartoonish, really like, hyper, like,
orange,
kind of like loves unicorns type of character. And then you have the character that's sort of from the more mature Justice League-ish type of animated series, right? So those two Starfires is what I based my Starfire image on. This one's very, very different. Yeah, it's kind of weird for me. So,
no, the actress they have playing her wouldn't have been bad except for the makeup and wigs and crap that they give her look horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, why does she have the curly hair versus this long, straight hair?
Let's hope it's just bad CG, and then like when she's not in battle scenes, she'll look okay or something,
Well, no, the funny thing was her CG actually looked really good. It's just like the way she looks as a character just looks way off.
Okay. I get you. Kage, any other thoughts on that?
Hot garbage.
Hot garbage. I'm looking forward to this show because I watch all of the shows, but I'm
going to give it a chance because, honestly, the one thing that'll salvage it for me is the fact that it's TVMA.
Yeah. The other thing is that when I look at all these shows, especially the CW shows, first of all the CW shows are filmed in Canada, in Vancouver. So they have a very low budget. That's the first thing you know right off the bat. But let's compare it to, for example, Krypton. Krypton is not a CW show. It's a sci-fi show with a bigger budget, and you can definitely see the difference there, right? Now, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really good show.
I don't know what studio is taking Titans because it wasn't clear. They didn't show Sci-Fi or CW or whatever. But I noticed that it was all filmed in Toronto this time, in Canada. So now the CW shows are all filmed in Vancouver, not in Toronto. So if the fact that it's filmed in Canada means the budget's probably a little bit lower than something like Krypton, but the fact that it's not filmed in Vancouver like all the CW shows gives me hope that it's not another CW show. So, especially with the fact that, it's TVMA and not like PG or PG-13 like the other shows, right? Let's hope that it's somewhere in between the CW and the sci-fi show. That's sort of my take on it. What else is there?
What's kind of strange, though, is they have the low budget, but I've never met a Canadian who's not rich.
That's why they're rich. Everything's low budget.
I'm Canadian and I'm not rich, but that's mostly because I
You live in Japan.
I live in Japan, so that's a different reason.
Well, you had to leave Canada because you weren't rich.
I dishonorably discharged.
In fact, there were some Canadians last night when we were waiting to eat dinner, and we were talking to them, and I've never met one. Never met one.
They
were buying their second Florida home.
Fair enough. Okay.
What's this all about?
No Canadian actually says a boot. At least.
Yeah, these are French Canadians, so they definitely weren't. But.
Don't get me started on Quebecers. So, I speak French every day at work. So, but I'm not from Quebec, so I don't speak with that accent. So, we have a different.
Just for people who don't know, if you're from America, it's saying that everybody speaks English, and then going to the South and realizing that's not actually true.
Fair enough. So that was the Titans trailer. Did you guys also watch the movie trailers for Aquaman and Shazam? So yes.
I am really excited for Shazam. It looks absolutely hysterical. And Aquaman looks like it's going to be so badass. Mara looks amazing.
Yeah.
Mara's hot.
Yeah, Mara's hot.
Well, that too.
Dude, I really hope that they bring out like a Amber Heard version of Mara into the game. That'd be cool.
Ooh. So you're saying like what they did with Jason Momoa, but for Mira?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people would be more inclined to get the villains from the movie, but I can see where you're going with it.
Orman.
No, I know she's probably not in the pipeline, but that's probably a wish list character I'd have.
Okay. I mean, that was sort of one of my guesses too. So when I was when someone put the trailer up and then we were talking about like potential, Aquaman month, right? So my guess was they're going to either rework one of the Aquaman, probably the Jason Momoa Aquaman, and then probably
he desperately needs it.
They might rework.
I wouldn't say he desperately needs it, but he does need tweaks.
Yeah, they might also rework Old Mira and Siren, one of those two maybe, but I could definitely see Aquaman taking it over one of the other two for sure. I really hope they don't touch Mira though, because she's really good as she is. She doesn't need really any work, but...
No, I think she needs a rework. What they need to do is change her avatar to that of Amber Heard.
Okay.
Oh my god, get over it.
Because that's where we have cosmetic rewards and portraits.
Skins.
Oh, I have answers on that one too, by the way.
Oh, yes. Tell us now. Just let's interrupt.
We skipped. Yeah, we didn't get to that. So, yeah, is there going to be skins?
Okay. No.
Boo.
No! Here's the reason. When the game was originally designed, that was not a consideration, and the engine that currently runs the game cannot transition easily. It's not like the engine for Injustice.
Boo.
Boo!
Can we get toggles at least?
I don't see it happening.
Boo.
So basically we have to wait for DC Legends 2.
Boo.
Yeah, probably.
I would quit if there was DC Legends 2.
Well, I mean, DC Legends had better be dead for at least a year before that happens.
Yeah. They don't want to cannibalize their sales on both games, right? So they have to try and...
No, it would be like Justice went on forever before Justice 2 came on.
That's fair.
Right, and the servers are still running for Injustice 1 as far as I know.
Yeah.
They are.
But
it's just...
Okay.
But something else that was brought up while I was there is that because they're hitting that 2-year mark, they're considered ancient by mobile game standards.
So
really?
So, well, okay. We're getting a bit off track here. Let's go, I guess, back to the Aquaman, Shazam.
But this is a good conversation that
we
had. Yeah.
So,
like, we're at the point of the show where it doesn't matter what we talk about anymore, I think.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I want to say my piece on Aquaman and Shazam a little bit, though. So
yeah. Say your piece on that, and then we'll move on.
All right. So Aquaman, Jason Momoa's character looks like it's getting funnier in terms of not just like the comedic sense, but the movie looks fun. The movie looks like sort of a throwback, or I guess a reference to sort of the Thor Ragnarok type of comedy. I hope. Like you'll see the sort of.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's where his character kind of has been.
Right.
Like, because he gets onto the roof with the Justice League and he's like dressed like a bat. I can dig it.
Yeah.
And he kind of goes in that same line in this trailer, and he's like, redheads, gotta love them.
Yeah. Also, there's like, that's the worst pep talk ever.
Yeah, no, he has some great one-liners that are in the trailer. If you haven't seen it, they're absolutely hysterical.
Yeah. So that part of the movie, like that aspect of the movie is really what's getting me hyped for the movie. I really want to watch those type of movies that have like, it's going to be action-packed, but I'm going to have fun. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not just going to be there and watch like an action movie with superheroes. I'm going to be there.
And at this point, I wouldn't be upset if they took a page from Marvel and just kind of followed their mantra a little bit on the movies. I don't want them to go crazy, like, make it a comedy, but.
And then, like,
don't go full buddy comedy like you Thor Ragnarok. Keep that darkness that is the DC, there, but the snarkiness is where Aquaman should be. I like it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, comic relief is always a good thing.
Now, here's the thing about the director. James Wan being the director is sort of what I'm worried about. I'm wondering, like, where he's going to take the direction of Aquaman, because all of this has to be pieced back together in the next Justice League movie, right? So, because we had Joss Whedon and Snyder for the Justice League, and then we have Wan doing Aquaman, and we have, I forget the name of the guy who's doing Shazam, we have different directors for each one, so their vision is going to be different every time. So Snyder's going to have a lot of work cut out for him, piecing everything back together, right? So I'm hoping...
I think Snyder got booted from WB.
Did he get booted?
Like, yeah, I remember hearing that from someone somewhere.
Oh, okay. So does
Wait, what?
take over? I thought he just retired because of... Well, he didn't retire, but he dropped off Justice League because...
He stepped back because of the family issues.
Yeah. Right.
I remember he stepped back, but I think they were looking for... I remember reading about they were looking for a replacement for him.
All right, well, okay. That's...
On that note, did you guys hear that James Gunn got released from Guardians 3?
Oh, really?
Who's James Gunn?
The director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
I wonder what the...
Yeah, I don't watch...
Yeah.
He wrote some tweet or something that was offensive or something.
And it was years ago.
Yeah.
everybody's offended by everything now. So
Yeah, it's 2000.
Well, no, I know. I get where it's coming from because it happens to be, how does this reflect on Disney? We can't really have that, so we have to let you go. I get where that's coming from, but I was really surprised.
hopefully DC picks them up.
That would be cool. I would love to see them pick him up. Although I'm not sure if the contract that he had with Disney where he can't work with a competitor is still in effect.
He probably does have that, like the non-compete type of things. That's what lawyers have too. But the idea is that, like,
Well, that's something that anyone who signs on to the MCU has that.
I could imagine.
Well, I haven't seen the tweets. Apparently in chat they're saying they were really, really bad. So maybe it wasn't just the knee-jerk reaction to something minor.
Okay. Well, who knows? Could be a bunch.
Yeah, it probably wasn't too minor.
There you go. Well, maybe there's a legitimate reason why he's no longer there. So, but
Well, I mean, to be fair, again, it was 10 years ago, but at the same time, you can't have it reflect on Disney like that.
fair enough. So about the Shazam trailer. Now, Shazam, again, like Aquaman, this is another one of those movies where I'm just going to... This might even be the opposite. This might be where I'm not going into the movie expecting a big action-packed movie with some comedy and some lightheartedness. I want all the comedy, all the lightheartedness out of this movie. And if there's some action, great. Because...
Yeah, it's
that's
not
what
a
the
dark
trailer
movie.
looked like.
Yeah,
That's what the trailer looked like.
It's Chuck.
It looked absolutely hysterical just because he is a little kid trying to figure out superpowers in a grown man's body.
Yeah, it's Chuck. Chuck from Chuck.
Yeah, it should be a fun, lighthearted movie. I mean, I would expect no less from Shazam, and I'd be disappointed if it was a dark movie.
Casting Zach Levy.
I would be very disappointed if it was a dark movie for their first one.
Whoever decided to cast...
Captain Marvel has never been... I'm sorry, Shazam has never been a dark character.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about the Justice Lords or whatever, but like that's about the only time that he's ever been dark. And even then, he's not even that dark.
Can I just say the guy who suggested Zach Levy audition for Shazam, he needs to get a raise. Because he's probably the best character the best actor you could probably think of right now as a Shazam character, like the adult Shazam. So...
He buffed up.
Yeah, like Chuck's awesome. Chuck is so funny in Chuck, and I can imagine him being great in this, in this role too. He'd probably just play Chuck as Shazam, so it'd be awesome. So, okay. And the other thing about the Shazam movie now, again, like I was talking about the TV shows earlier, Shazam is filmed almost entirely, like 90% of the show, 90% of the movie is filmed in Toronto again. So another reason why I bring this up, not only just because I'm from Toronto and I love Toronto, but it's also because other famous comic book movies like...
Hashtag home turf.
Yeah. A lot of famous movies like a lot of the Marvel movies, like the old Hulk movies, some of like the Spider-Man movies and so on were filmed in Toronto too, and they didn't do so great.
The original Hulk movie was bad.
Yeah. They didn't do so great. And normally when you have to pick a Toronto or a Canadian place to film, it's probably budget restraints, right? Now, obviously from the CG and the stuff that we saw in the trailer, it looks pretty good. So let's hope that the budget choice, or sorry, the scene and the location choice wasn't really a budget constraint. But I could definitely see that being an issue. So I hope that it's not.
I'm hoping it was more of just they wanted that location to represent where he's at.
That definitely could be the case. So the one thing that I thought was really cool though was that when you see Billy Batson in like the high school scene and like when he's going through the high school, his high school is my brother's high school. It's
That's awesome.
It's 1 block away from my house. So that's awesome. So yeah, the Shazam trailer looks good. One thing, now this is a bit of a spoiler, well I guess not really a spoiler, because for those of you who are looking into the cast and following a lot of the famous actors on Twitter or social media, a lot of people have been following Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, because he's slated to be Black Adam. But I believe that it's been cleared up that he's not going to be in the Shazam movie. He's going to have his own standalone Black Adam movie. But that doesn't say that Shazam isn't going to cross paths with Black Adam. He's just not going to cross paths in this movie. So...
Yeah, it's one of those things that like people will expect Shazam and Adam to come together at some point. Yeah. It's just not in this movie. Is kind of already been ruled out. So
with that being said, if we know that he's not going to fight Black Adam in this movie, who do you think is going to be the main antagonist to Billy in this movie?
They showed the bad guy. I just didn't get a good look at him to see who it might be.
You did? Did you guys?
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, like he goes to punch him and the dude catches his punch.
Oh, it's like that. It's that like white bald dude, right? With like the weird.
Yeah. That was him.
Yeah.
And maybe it's White Bald Man.
White bald man.
It's cue ball.
The answer is the last.
Random Thug 37.
Yeah, but Shazam looks fun. Definitely a lot of fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But unfortunately, we have to wait till April for that. So.
Oh, I thought it was a Christmas movie for some reason.
No, it's next year, man.
That's Aquaman.
Yeah, so for those of you who are waiting for the Shazam reworks or tweaks again, or a new Shazam or a new Black Adam, you're probably going to have to wait a good long while. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Aquaman is scheduled for December, and then Shazam is much later.
I could definitely see them doing like an Aquaman theme month, even in November, like leading up to the movie to hype it up, right? So it's sort of like...
Oh, absolutely.
So
it's what they did with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You had Hippolyta come out the month before, and then you had the full Wonder Woman month.
Yeah, and even,
I'd love to see another Aqua themed month.
Yeah, and we've technically had like 2 Titans months right now.
Well, like,
right? So,
players are waiting for Aqua month just for, Black Manta and Ocean Master potentially, being added, because those are characters people really want.
do you think they'll call him Ocean Master, or do you think they'll just call him Orm?
I think it'll mostly be Orm, and then there at one point he'll call himself Ocean Master.
Ah, okay, cool.
Or Master of the Ocean or whatever. He'll make a reference to it, but I'm pretty sure they're probably just going to call him Orm or Brother for the most part.
Cool. All right, so I kind of want to move things along. We have 15 minutes before we kind of need to wrap things up. I want to get to the questions, especially from...
Damn, we went long.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we went long.
But before we get to the questions, I want to do a shout out that we'll be doing at the end of every podcast from now on, especially for the $5 and $10 tier patrons. So at our do-gooder $5 tier, we have Parsnip Paradigm and James B at the $5 tier. At the Hero $10 tier, we have Hatemael hanging out. And we have... And we have 3 new patrons this month as well at the civilian tier. William I, BackfireCoH, and Ventus1. So thanks you guys for becoming patrons, and you're all eligible into our draw at the end of the show. Maybe not Hatemael.
Hooray!
But we'll get to the questions that we have from you guys here in chat, on Reddit, and on Patreon. So let's get to the Patreon questions first. Parsnip Paradigm.
Let's rapid fire these.
Yeah. Parsnip Paradigm asks, I'm on a quest to get Wonder Woman POT to L5. I know you probably all have 1 or more L5s already, looking at you, Kibo. But which would you say be your most likely candidate for L5 and why? So let's say for those who don't already have L5, or let's say your next L5. So let's go, since I know Hatemael has a lot, I'll leave Hatemael to last. Kage, which would be your first L5?
Probably Wonder Woman Coda.
Ooh, okay. Why?
She has a really interesting kit, and she has no bad upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
And to see her retaliate with her double strike and then an AoE, that is beautiful to watch.
Okay.
And so I like her character design. So I'm actually gonna L5 all the Wonder Women first. I have the shards for Wonder Woman Coda.
Mm-hmm.
DOJ is on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about 90 shards off.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pot, a few shards off.
Cool.
So I'll get them all to L5 and then Wonder Girl next.
So all the Amazonians.
Amazonian Fury, baby.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
Death by Snoo Snoo.
Fair enough. All right. We know that Ogre's first L5 was Chemo, but who's the next one?
I have Lobo also.
Oh, you have Lobo L5 too. Okay, then who's the next one?
Yes, I do.
Who's the next one?
I have 3 or 4 characters currently sitting at capable of L5, and I've been debating this for a long time, whether I want to take them to L5. Right now, I'm leaning towards Cheetah might be L5, but as a caveat, I'm also really excited for the characters that are coming next month, and I might make one of them.
Okay, fair, cool. Hatemael, so I know you have a lot of L5s. Is there one that you want to get to L5 soon?
I'm actually farming Legendary Essence right now.
Okay.
What was I going to do?
Like as we're talking?
Yeah, I have it going. I'm hitting wordplay over and over while we're talking. Actually, I use Switch Control, which I've been leery about letting that out. It's an iOS built-in thing to kind of let you tap the screen over and over, and it pushes buttons for you. So I was thinking about making a video and being nice to the community, because you can get about an hour, maybe 2 hours worth of Legendary Essence grinding done while you're if you tap at the screen enough beforehand.
Cool.
But anyway, I took Hippo to L5 this morning for that team I wanted to test.
Cool.
And then I think
Nice.
the day before yesterday, I did take Lobo to L5 finally, but I did not do his legendary upgrade on his
It's so worth it, dude. I'm telling you.
I'm Larry. But and I took Siren and Cheetah to legendary 5 a couple days ago too.
Okay.
So because I wanted to test the bleed teams. But anyway, I have a ton of legendary 5 characters now. I've been slow. My first one, ironically, was Supergirl.
Oh.
I did that before the legendary changes to make it a lot easier than it used to be. She was my hard grind legendary 5. That was only because I messed up her legendary order. But now that she's been reworked, I'm happy I had it.
I know that feeling. So that kind of brings me back around to my next, my L5 pick. So my first L5 was Superman, and probably going to be my last L5. But you never know. I have a lot of L5 capable characters right now. And if I was going to L5 a character for non-preference reasons, it'd probably be Arcus, just because I kind of messed up his order too. Arguably messed up his legendary order because I didn't get his death immunity, and that's the last upgrade to get on him, right? For me. So I might get it just for the sake of getting it. But then I don't really use Arcus that much more because I replaced him on a lot of my teams with Starfire. So if Starfire becomes really accessible in the future, I might get Starfire to L5, but I probably won't. If I had to pick a character that I want to get to L5 for, let's say resources weren't a question, were an issue, I'd probably get Mira to L5, because Mira is probably one of the characters I think has the best well-rounded kits that doesn't even need any tweaking, doesn't need any changes, maybe aside from the profile pick. But,
Get over it, Kage.
I think Mira, Finale Jalapeno already gave her the what is it called, the retirement package.
FTRP.
Right. So, and I can see why he did that, because she's really, really good. All her upgrades are good. Everything about her is good. So, I'd probably if I had to pick a, on paper type of choice, Mira would probably be my pick there. So.
And if you want to go meta, a couple characters, Swamp Thing, Constantine, they don't have bad upgrades. I mean, every single one of them are great. Yep. So,
I never.
Yeah, there's a handful of characters that are just really good all the way around. Princess Themyscira is definitely one of them. So kudos to you for getting that.
All the Wonder Women actually have pretty decent upgrades. I mean, DOJ, you don't really need her third ability to do the cooldown on her AOE.
Yeah.
But the other ones all have great upgrades.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to the next question then. So BackfireCoH says, what are your tanking suggestions or alternatives in a post-Wonder Girl gamescape?
Go ahead.
Honestly, I would go with the new character, Giganta. She is probably the best tank against Wonder Girl.
Ironically enough.
Bane, maybe, as another option too?
I don't like Bane. Bane just because
Bane would just kill your team.
Yeah, Bane get your team killed.
Okay. How about what's his name? Cyborg Superman.
He's not bad, but he does that 10 crit chance up on I can't remember which ability. So
Boulder ability.
This is Boulder.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue that your tankiness is now actually going to come from the passive of Supergirl.
Oh, okay. So Supergirl's up there in the tankiness.
Yeah, I would highly agree with that, because I bring Supergirl often against Wonder Girl teams for that reason, because she doesn't do a lot of buffs and she keeps the crits, and the crits are what kill you from Wonder Girl. Actually,
like I was saying before earlier, her base damage isn't terribly great. It's when she starts doubling damage and critting that you're going to die.
Yeah, so she doesn't need a nerf. Everyone just needs to get Supergirl.
Guess what PvP week it is?
Supergirl.
Supergirl's definitely a good choice, and old Aquaman works pretty well too, because he doesn't cast a lot of buffs until later, and early on she won't nuke your team down as easy.
Yep, Aquaman's definitely a good choice.
Aquaman is one of those characters that right now is a prime time to use him.
Yeah.
If you have him, use him. His crit immunity is amazing.
He's also very versatile. I love his kit. So his kit has so much going for it. So, yeah.
I'll be honest, of all my bleeders, he's probably the one that I try to squeeze in the most.
Let's see here. What was it? Oh, the next question. Ventus1 asks a question about Terra. with her HC, I got her frags to L3. What is the best legendary order for Terra? And I want to use her instead of Steppenwolf. Don't have him legendary as a support against Batgirl teams. So what do you guys think about Terra? Let's say, okay, her legendary order first.
You need one.
Anything
That's
else?
it.
After that, like, it kind of varies depending on how you build and what you're building around and what you're trying to do with her, I think.
All right. Hey, what do you think for Terra?
Hang on, I was looking her up because I couldn't remember all of her stuff off the top of my head.
One, two,
One
three, four,
is what I
five.
like.
Mhm.
I like 1, 3.
Yep.
1 and 3, I think, are the two that I was more high on than the others. But I know one was the one that was most important.
Mm-hmm. So basically, her 2 offensive moves.
Yeah,
And
because you want that heal immunity because it helps against so many other things.
What would you take as a third then? Because he has L3.
I think her first passive is pretty good, isn't it?
I think I went with her 2, and I can't remember why. I need to look at her kit in front of her, but I have my
Okay.
thing going.
Wasn't
So I
her
couldn't
2
pull it
like
up.
stun immunity or something?
Oh, yeah, her 2 is stun immunity, and it's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or no, it's crit immunity.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
really
crit
good.
immunity.
That's really good. Yeah, that's very important right now, actually.
So, yeah, 1, 2, 3 is probably where you want to be at.
Yep.
Like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is that legitimately her order?
No.
It probably
No.
is.
No, that's the L5
No, it
order.
was a joke on our last podcast. We were talking about how we were going to change.
It's like 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 1, 3, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah.
But I was gonna troll the community and then change all the legendary orders to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just recommend all
Just get
legendary.
everybody L5.
Yeah. Everyone be a whale. Whale or die. Whale or bust.
L5 or bust.
Yeah. But to be fair, to answer
Gotta compete in that Titans event, right?
to be fair, to answer the second part of the question, where he asks to use her as a replacement for Steppenwolf, I think she's great. She's fine, especially if you have other characters with can't miss abilities. So 1 being probably the most important upgrade to take first. The main thing is that I think she's actually better than Steppenwolf with the current Wonder Girl meta, because she brings the can't miss and doesn't bring a lot of buffs along to trigger Wonder Girl. So you could take care of the Batgirl teams.
She does, but you can choose not to use those. You don't have to rely on her buffs.
You're right. You don't need Steppenwolf to be able to hit them, right? You don't need those buffs to hit them. So, for example, if you play a team, if there's a general, let's say like the girl power team that I was talking before with Wonder Girl, Batgirl, Power Girl, and Supergirl, for example, or even the more evasive teams with Harley Quinn, for example, you can bring Terra along with Cheetah, for example, who also has a can't miss Starfire. Again, another can't miss.
Cheetah is not actually a can't miss. Be careful, because when you get an 8 stack of evasion Harley Quinn, you actually do run into a chance.
Oh, that's fair enough. So if you have enough evasion on her, so it's almost a can't miss, but
it's 200% hit chance.
Yeah. So there's at a point where, you can miss. It's unlikely, but you can. It's possible. What other characters?
Yeah, and I just wanted to point that out, because there's a couple of moves that gain 100% hit chance, her and Lex Luthor being the 2 notable ones.
Right.
But just be aware, you can actually miss if they get enough evasion, which can be troublesome with like a Siren.
Yeah.
If they're just kind of sitting there and have a bunch of speed downs or something.
Cyborg is like that too, right? He gets 100%, so he doesn't get can't miss. So
yeah, he doesn't get a can't miss. He gets a plus 100%.
Also, who's the other characters I was thinking of right now? It's right off the tip of my tongue. Can't remember it now anymore. Anyways. But yeah, that to deal with those Batgirl evasive teams, I guess characters with more actual can't miss. Oh, sorry, Deadshot Higher Gun. There you go. Deadshot Higher Gun has a straight up can't miss. Takes out.
He actually can't miss. Yeah.
Right. Takes out Wonder Girl. Even through a bunch of evasions, no problem, right? So there you go. Let's move on to another question here. So from Duloth. All right. So Duloth asks, what would you do if Gear 12 hits without any way to gain more XP orbs or gear?
Well, we know it's not happening, so is this a hypothetical at this point?
Hypothetical. Yes, a hypothetical question. What would you do if, let's say, the next day they announced Gear 12 with pretty much little to no notice, and the resource farming bottleneck is where it is right now?
I would probably start crying, and I would probably curl up into a field. No, I would probably just keep playing the game the way I have been. I probably wouldn't go to Guild 12 just yet. Let everybody else figure that out first.
Let the wheels figure it out.
All right, Whale.
I don't know if I would
That's
whale
what they're
anymore.
for, right?
If that was the case, if it went to Gear 12 without any additional resource, especially if it's anytime soon, not a very long time out, I don't know. I think that might be it. I might have to go free play.
All right.
Here's a question for you guys, a hypothetical. What if Gear 12 only required one of every piece of material available, and like literally getting Gear 12 was just a thank you because you got to level 80 to get it?
I could see if it was a level 80 requirement, it just you got to level 80, and then it moves to a higher gear level by, like you said, a minimal cost. That wouldn't be a bad thing. It would give you a reason to go 80.
Yeah, because right now there's no reason to get to 80, and it's incredibly difficult to do so.
All right, so let's blow through these a little bit quickly because it's
Kage, if you need to take off, just take off, and we'll keep going without you.
All right. See you guys later.
Okay. All right. Peace out, man.
Later, bud.
Yeah. All right, let's blow through these questions a little bit quickly then. So skip over that one. Then Decimage asks, Wonder Girl Legendary 3, to take the debuff Legendary for more balance or not to take it for more offense, in parentheses, free AoEs. What do you guys think?
I personally like the debuffing or the purging that it provides, but I mean, I get the argument.
Okay.
I also get the argument, but I am heavily in favor of taking the 3 first, because the characters that you want to use her against are going to be high buff characters, and they need those buffs to do something. So getting rid of those buffs make you more powerful and win matches faster. It's better than doing more damage, in my opinion.
Right. Here's my my logic behind the whole idea of the free AoEs. If you want more free AoEs, you want the match to be longer. So if you're doing more damage over a longer period of time, things are probably not going to work out for you in the end. So you probably want things to go faster, as Hate was saying, right? That's the kind of reason why she's there. So in my personal opinion, getting the Legendary, just like you guys are saying, definitely in favor of that. You want to keep their team as clean as possible of buffs so that you can just, wrap things up quickly. So.
Yeah, like, here's my counter argument to that. Oh, you don't have the buff purging. Oh, look, Power Girl has all these strength ups and death immunity. I'm going to hit her. Oh, she's basically dead, but she had death immunity, so she doesn't die. Oh, look, she's at full overheal again and killed my team.
Okay, well, I guess that answers that. We pretty much all agree that you should take the Legendary. Okay, so Dio Brando asks, if you guys were Pokemon, which Pokemon would you be?
He already stole my answer, so...
So what's the answer?
What is the Pokemon?
Yeah. What's the Pokemon?
That's right, Hayden doesn't know pop culture, guys. But I would probably be Snorlax.
Yeah, so explain to those viewers, what is a Snorlax?
Big, powerful, doesn't move really fast, but if he gets you, you're done.
And he sleeps all day.
I do know what
And he
Pokemon
sleeps
is,
and eats, and that's all he is.
Yeah.
but I honestly
What's
have no idea. I do know what a Pokemon is, but I have no idea any other Pokemon other than the yellow one.
All right, how about you describe...
Other than Pikachu?
That one.
It would be a whale lord, just so everybody knows.
Hey, if you could describe yourself as an animated little monster, right? What abilities, what type of things would you be? What would you have?
I missed it with Ogre's laugh cut out a little bit of it.
So I was saying, if you could describe yourself as one of those little animated monsters, then what kind of abilities would you have? What would you be like? So if Ogre's like a big monster who just sleeps all day and eats, but then when he wakes up, he'll just destroy you. That's like Ogre, right? So what would you be?
Whatever abilities is similar to the Flash is what I would always envision wanting as a superpower.
So something fast.
Fast lightning, something like that.
So he'd be a Ninjask, maybe?
Could be. I'd probably see him as the old school.
Or a Yan Mega?
I'm thinking Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee. Like the guy.
I was originally thinking Meowth so they could use Payday, but...
Oh, that's perfect. No, yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is. He's Meowth. So
he's, to be fair, he's also in the show the only Pokemon that actually talks English or Japanese, depending on what you're watching, but he's the only one that actually talks people language.
So he's a Pokemon that's basically a cat that has coins as part of his kit, his abilities, and his abilities is like literally throwing money around. So yeah, I could see that being Hate.
There you go, Hate. You've been dubbed the Meowth.
There we go.
For me, I'd be Kadabra. So amongst the evolution of these Pokemon, there's Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam. Abra is the base Pokemon, for those of you guys who don't know, and Alakazam is the max level. I think there might be more. I'm an old school Pokemon nerd, so I don't know the new thing.
Well, there's probably the Mega Evolution now for Alakazam, but that's beside the point.
The reason why I didn't pick Alakazam, the ultimate form, is because, well, when I grew up playing Pokemon, Alakazam was probably like one of the best Pokemon.
You haven't been traded?
No, I have. I had a lot of Alakazam. I had a team of 6 Alakazams.
No, I'm saying you haven't been traded.
No, I haven't been traded, yes, to become Alakazam. Fair enough. But the reason why I see myself as Kadabra and not Abra, for example, Abra is like a little, weenie little guy that can't really do much. Kadabra, he's getting there. He's got enough power, but he's sort of like that guy that needs to manipulate things, that he's pretty good on his own, but needs a little bit more effort. And where Alakazam, he's pretty much a standalone one-man army type of thing, right? Like, he just destroys everybody. So I'm not Alakazam, but I'm no Abra. I'm Kadabra. That's where I put myself. So...
Well, to be fair, the Abra's description is that he sleeps all day and he actually uses telekinetic powers to sense when people are around and just teleports away.
Yeah. And Kadabra is basically just like, he's a little bit like Abra, but more offensive, but not as offensive as Alakazam. So, yeah, that's kind of...
You're offensive, DP. You're offensive.
I was going to think of like a really boring character, like maybe like an Onyx or something like that, or something that's like just doesn't do much.
Onyx and Steelix are awesome. You shut your face.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of a character that's boring and bland. So I was trying to think of something like maybe Ditto.
Be like Machoke or something.
You want a conversation that's boring.
Just listen to this podcast.
Fair enough. All right.
Moving.
We got a question here from our good old Hatemael there. Says, with the game being considered ancient, do you see this game going alive and well for a long time, mainly for Ogre after being there? So, after being at Warner Brothers San Francisco.
Yeah, just the long-term content plans, etc.
I do not see it ending anytime soon with some of the stuff that they're talking about, like just how vague they were talking about it. But like, I mean, I'm really excited to see what's coming because, like I said, the end of the year, they have stuff that they want to come out with. And the designer, when he was talking to me, was really excited about these things. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
Cool. So it's good.
Can you give us any feedback? I don't know how much or what you can say on this, but last time you visited, you kind of hinted on certain things that were coming that we really never saw between your last visit and now, and that was quite some time ago. So any feedback on...
Back in February.
Yeah, why... I mean, I guess it's been about 6 months. So, what... If there was any obstacles or what they had planned or,
Well, I mean, yes, there's been obstacles for them, but also keep in mind, remember how I said last time, it's not that they don't want to bring you all the characters you want. It's not that they want to do them justice. They're fans of it just as much as we are, and they don't want to put out a crap product.
So that gives me hope that things are going to get nice and polished before,
Like, to me, if you have a game that's designed by people that don't enjoy it or don't want to be there, you can tell. Yeah. And when you look at DC, you can tell that they're fans.
Fair enough.
And honestly, to me, that is something that's going to keep this game alive.
Well, mine was kind of more in line with maybe PvE content, because we kind of all expected to have seen it by now, and we haven't really. Obviously, we haven't seen it yet, so.
Right, and I know I said last time it wasn't going to be first quarter, and then there was an issue on Reddit where somebody was taking me out of context and said it was going to be by second quarter, and that's not what I said. Wait, by the end of the year is what I had said, not first quarter, by the end of the year. So again, wait till November for the 2-year anniversary or December for the, holiday hype. Those are about the best I can give you, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's wrap things up with our giveaway, our first ODDsmen monthly giveaway. And since this is the first one and it's a special episode.
Hatemael wins, yay!
What? No.
We decided to give away 2 $10 gift certificates, a total of $20 gift cards for either iTunes or Google Play, depending on your platform, to any of our patrons at the $1 or higher tier, other than Hatemael.
Excluding whales, known as Hatemael.
Whales are used to getting the short end of the stick with stuff.
So on our show notes, I actually have an order of people who have become patrons at the $1 rank or higher, and who have also asked questions. So those who've posted questions on our Patreon page get a second entry into the draw. So what I have in front of me now is a 10-sided die. I'm going to roll this twice. and see what comes up. And part of the rules here, because we're giving 2 gift cards away, you cannot win twice. That just to be fair. Okay, so if you win once, your name's going to be pulled from this draw, and then I'm going to keep going after that. So, drum roll. First roll. 2. BackfireCoH. You get the first $10 gift card.
Huzzah!
And then second one. Number 5. Parsnip Paradigm. So BackfireCoH and Parsnip Paradigm are your winners. So you guys, I'll contact you guys on Patreon and to figure out how to get you guys your cards. So most likely it'll probably be delivered to you sometime early August after everything is said and done. All right. So if you don't see anything by the end of July, don't worry, you'll get it. It'll come in time. So Parsnip's Paradigm and BackfireCoH, congratulations. You are our first winners. And for all of you guys out there, just to remind you, as long as we hit the $30 goal, we're currently at $23, $24, I believe. So if we hit the $30 goal, we'll be giving away at least one $10 gift card every month at the end of our second podcast. So stay tuned for that. If you guys haven't already, consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/theoddsmen. So you can be eligible again for these giveaways by becoming a patron of at least $1 or more. And if you haven't already, follow us on social media at Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud at The Oddsmen, and at youtube.com/theoddsmen. So I'm wrapping things up there. Ogre, any last words?
Thanks for listening, guys. I'm going to go take a nap.
Hey.
Thanks for having me on. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. And for everyone else, after the week after this drops, check out We RRR Legends. You can find us at patreon.com/We RRR Legends. That's 3 R's. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/c/Hatemael and all those other places.
So if you guys didn't know, check out We RRR Legends coming up again next week after ours. And we are going bi-weekly, and so is We RRR Legends. So every week you should be having more content from either one of our podcasts. So there you go. And this may not be our last crossover, so there may be other opportunities for us and the Legends crew to cross over again. So with that, good night, guys.
Good night, everyone. And now for the winner's circle. I did not get the results for the Showdown Arena, which is the Villain Gem Blitz. So if anybody has those numbers, could you please send them my way or tag me in a post? For the Wraith Arena, ending on 7/23/18 for Supergirl, the world's finest was John Mox with 4,854 points. Congratulations, John Mox. Top 35 cutoff was 2,617 points, and top 100 cutoff was 2,427 points. The top alliance for the weeks was Destruction DC New with 117,467 points. Another alliance that I've seen in the top 10, but is relatively new and really pushed for number 1. So if any of the members or the leader would like to reach out to me, we'd love to have you on the show one day. The top 10 cutoff was 48,529 points, and the top 100 cutoff was 22,485 points. Congratulations to everyone. See you next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oddsman broadcast. Be sure to check out the next episode of We RRR Legends coming up next week.